What's going on, everyone? My name is Jeff. In this video, we are going to talk about Aphria's earnings report. Guys, the stock's seen a 40% jump in one day, and I've kind of had a feeling that you are going to start seeing more and more things like this depending on what kind of earnings we get. And so I pulled this up right here, guys, just to kind of illustrate. I've always considered Aphria a part of the Big Six, and those are the Big Six MJ producers in Canada right now. And of course, Canopy Growth being the biggest, Aurora being the second biggest. Now, GW Pharmaceuticals, that's the next ticker, GWPH. This is actually a United Kingdom company, and they're really known for their treatment of multiple sclerosis by using cannabis products. And then, of course, Crohn, Tilray, and Aphria, okay? Those are your Big Six. Those are the 6 companies I would invest in the absolute most if you're going to invest in the MJ sector. Now, I've done multiple videos about Aphria. Still think this stock is a buy. Their previous earnings report was absolutely terrible, and we've seen this stock trade off a lot. So you're not going to hit all these stocks at once, guys. Also, there is a lot of stocks that are listed on the OTC exchange, and some of those are pink sheeted stocks, but I consider this the Big Six. Of course, Aurora Cannabis being my absolute favorite. I do believe we are going to start seeing more and more of what we saw today. Some of these MJ stocks are oversold. They've traded down a little too far, and things have just gotten a little too bearish on some of these companies. And then you never know, Aphria shows up with a good earnings report and the stock goes off for 40% today. So you know what to do, guys. Make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video. I appreciate all the support, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. So let's rewind the clock 1 year. Of course, it just was over a 1 year ago. That's when Aphria was listed on the New York Stock Exchange. And of course, we did see a big run shortly after that, guys. But of course, the markets traded down through the months of October to December, and the entire market as a whole seen a major downturn for close to 3 months. During this period of time, though, Aphria was actually trading higher a year ago than it is now. And especially if you want to go back to September of last year, Aphria was over $16 to $17 a share. Then seen slow and gradual deceleration going into December. Seen its 52-week low of $3.75, guys. Made a recovery into the spring. And then, of course, being as a result of their last earnings report, and the stock has just traded down pretty much non-stop ever since. Now, if you want to look at the 1 month chart, you can see this is the price action we got today right here at the very end. This pretty much straight vertical jump from right there at $5 a share to well over $7.33. Like I said, up $2.13 or 41% return in 1 day. Absolutely amazing. I think this run can continue for a while, and especially if some of their MJ family reports good earnings as well. Okay, so if ACB and Crohn, Tilray, CGC, some of these companies show up with good earnings, I think Aphria can continue to trade up. But right down there, guys, in that $5 range, I have been mentioning this a lot to people here and there. Just keep in mind, buy in those dips, okay? Do not be afraid to sell or cut your positions in half when you have a big lead. There is other sectors I want you much more invested in for the long term. This is still very high speculation and very high risk, so make sure you're investing in a lot of different companies. Do not have all of your money in the MJ sector. I think you are setting yourself up for a disaster if you do so. But I can't deny a 40% return in 1 day. And guys, I do believe this stock will run next week as well. Probably not at a 40% clip, but it would not surprise me if Aphria was back to $8 very soon. This earnings report was very good and very impressive. Every time I look at this, guys, I am still pretty much awestruck at the year-over-year growth. I am just humbled by the amount of growth Aphria showed here. So their quarter 4 GAAP EPS of 5 cents, that beat by 15 cents. Then the revenue of $128 million, guys, beat by 29.34 million. That's 969% year-over-year growth. Outstanding job for Aphria. And as you can all see, it really showed up in the stock price today. This is a $10 stock that is currently trading at $7. That is my opinion, because Aphria was not putting up as good of numbers a year ago when it was at $12, $15, and $16 a share. Now, if you guys remember back to the earnings report in April, they really fell on their face from a revenue standpoint, and that is why the stock has traded down so much. I just want to kind of illustrate the fiscal quarter 4 revenue of 969%, $228 million. Of course, we just mentioned that. The distribution revenue was $99.2 million. That was up 72%. Their net cannabis revenue was up 86%. Here, in my opinion, is where things get really, really good. Their net income was up to $15.8 million. That's a 416% increase. And their non-GAAP EBITDA of $209,000. That's a 118% increase. Now, their fiscal 2020 guidance, they're showing revenue of $650 million to $700 million. So the bar is going up pretty high right there. And that number can continue to get raised as the end of the year approaches. So if you just look and say, okay, they're expecting to have $600 million of revenue next year, that means $150 million per quarter, okay? And I'm really expecting that number to go up by the end of 2019. Then, guys, we will just touch on a couple of things from the earnings call. Their quick assets now total $610 million, including an additional $39 million received from Green Growth Brands related to its takeover bid. Aphria 1 campus now fully planted with over 500,000 plants. And then Aphria Diamond fully constructed. That's a 1.3 million square feet of production capacity. It's ready to come online after regulatory sign off, okay? And they've also reported that their total annualized capacity will be 255,000 kilograms. So they had great numbers. They're showing very strong guidance. And guys, like I just said a minute ago, Aphria is a $10 per share stock that's trading at $7, okay? So I'm not saying that this stock is going to go directly back to $10 a share. I will say this though, I feel very, very comfortable buying shares and investing in Aphria under $10. I will say that. And so this was the results from the entire sector, guys. Now, I do want to point out GW Pharmaceuticals does not usually trade with the Canadian MJ stocks, but I do want you to own it, okay? It is a very, very good stock that has performed quite well over the past couple of years. It's just kind of the odd one out of the family. Like I said, Aphria up 40%, Cron 8%, ACB traded up 8%, Tilray 7%, New Age Beverage 5%, Canopy Growth almost 5%. And then MJ, of course, MJ, that is the Medical Harvest ETF. That's another very good way to play this sector. Kushco was up about 4%, and then Pixis was up about 1.48%. So I guess really the next question we all probably should talk about, including myself. Of course, I look at this space as good opportunities to trade. Also look at this space as very good opportunities to do investing, okay? Try to buy these when they're in their absolute lows. When confidence is low, when fear is very high, that seems to be the absolute best time to buy these stocks. And of course, guys, I really, really want you invested in a lot of different sectors. Do not have all your money in the MJ space. I think I've seen a lot of people go down that road and then they end up hurting, and of course the traditional markets making all-time highs. Now we're seeing some pullback in the market. This is probably a good time to add to your tech positions and some of your more traditional companies, okay? Go through a couple of these companies, guys, and I'll talk about when their estimated earnings date is, okay? So keep in mind this is estimated, and sometimes these dates will change once in a while. But I have noticed that most of the time they're pretty close and accurate. The Canopy Growth, their earnings announcement is anticipated for August 14th. So we got about 12 days before Canopy is going to be showing results for their earnings report, and perhaps they can have another big turnaround and push this sector even higher. Now, I'm not expecting that. As a matter of fact, I always go into these things, try to be kind of level-headed. Don't want to get ahead of myself. Don't want to start planning big gains on a stock because the earnings will do all the talking for us. But right now, Canopy Growth is trading down very low, and I think it's at a very attractive buy point around $32. Cron, their earnings date is for August 8th, so just in 6 short days, we should be getting an earnings report from Kronos Group, guys. And again, this one really disappointed on the last earnings call, okay? Investors kind of ran away from Cron. I called it a buy on that big dip. And I do think if you would have bought in some of those lows, you would now be sitting on a return. Just keep in mind, this long-term investment, it's not going to happen overnight. Cron had that huge run to well over $20 in the first part of 2019. Tilray's earnings is set for August 13th, 2019. So in just 11 days, that is when Tilray should be reporting earnings. Guys, I will be plugged into all these as they come in. We will cover them all. Now, am I expecting a lot out of Tilray? I would say this is probably the weakest stock in the sector, but it is still twice the market cap that Aphria is. So I would consider Aphria a much, much better buy than Tilray. And then, of course, all of our favorites, Aurora Cannabis, Their earnings report is expected for September 24th. So we got quite a while before we'll get another earnings report from Aurora. And guys, remember that chart pattern, okay? That chart pattern that Aphria gave us where it was just trading down right to the earnings report. If ACB trades in the same kind of pattern, I would probably be trying to invest slowly but surely on any kind of downward pattern, hoping for an explosion on earnings. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that is going to happen, but like I said, looking at the long term, I do want to be invested in 4 or 5 of the big 6 companies, okay? Anyways, guys, that's all I got for the video. Go down to the comment section and tell me your thoughts on Aphria's earnings report. I thought it was outstanding, and I think it's a buy under $10. Thank you, as always, for watching the video, and have a great day.